You're on.
Okay, this is the valve here. This is the valve, turn this valve off, turn the tractor off. And there again, this is the valve here that drains the fuel tank out there. They're side by side, it's very easy to grab the wrong one. And when it's running, of course, obviously, turn everything here, make sure it's don't catch your coattail and wind you up. The oil here, this is where the oil pumps up, and you can see this in the glass, see it dripping, and it goes down into the connecting rods. And to check the oil level, there's a brass petcock right down there. Can you see it there, Todd? Brass petcock right there, and it should be right to it. And what we use is non-detergent motor oil in it. This is the water pump here, and the petcocks are here, or the grease cups are here to grease them. Once in a while, put a little bit of grease in and turn them in a little bit. And this fan belt here is an adjustable fan belt. As it runs and time goes, it'll get a little bit loose. And when it does, it's a take-apart belt where you can take a piece out of it, take a link out of it, tighten it as you need to over time. The radiator is drained down before you run it. Be sure and fill it back up with 50-50 solution of antifreeze and water. There again, on starting it, when it's running, it flips this up, that dog gets up. To start it, you push that back, and that engages the impulse to start it. Then after it's started, you reach over here and you tighten these petcocks back up after it's running, and you gotta be fairly careful because if your finger gets over too far, it hits a spark plug, you'll get a jolt. So be careful, the spark is right there. And normally after I get it running for a while, this is retarded in advance, and if you're driving around, advance a little bit, but if it's sitting around idling, I usually pull it back to full retard and lets it talk at a retarded pace. Down here on the carburetor, this here bent rod right here, that's the fuel adjustment. And on these old tractors, they got this adjustment right here where it's easy to get because you got to adjust it quite often. Sometimes when they're cold, you're better off to open this up like a quarter turn, like looking down at it. You bring the end here around in a clockwise position, like a quarter turn to start it. Then after it warms up, lean it back down a little bit. But this is a fairly sensitive adjustment, so don't do a big wind. Just move this like a quarter turn at a time and try it and listen to it in a quarter turn, one way or the other. But as it gets hotter and colder outside, humidity, everything else changes these carburetors. You need this here. You'll need to adjust this carburetor to get your best running. And there again, this valve here is set where it needs to be to get the fuel out of the main tank in the front. This was a selector valve to select it from your gasoline starting tank and your big main tank, but it's set for the big main tank up front, so just leave this valve alone. This is the valve that back in the old days would turn water into here for when you run on kerosene. There again, run on gasoline, so leave this valve alone. If you forget to turn it on, it's not a problem. I've got it plugged where water cannot get into here, so it's all plugged off. There again, when you go to move it, you push the clutch in, and you want to watch the belt pulley, and don't move the gear shifter until the belt pulley stops turning. When the belt pulley stops turning, you put it in gear like that, and then sometimes if it don't go in, don't force it. Just hold one hand against it, let the clutch up a little bit of time, but the belt pulley just barely turn, and let the gears go in. And so with reverse, you pick it up out of the dog, pull it back like this, you go here, and you gotta let the clutch pulley up just a little bit until you see the belt pulley just barely turn, and it'll click in. Then you can load up and go. But it's important to have it fully engaged before you go to move it. And this is the lock here. This locks the belt pulley down here. It locks your clutch down. This is your brake here to stop it. Then, these tanks here are empty. They're on here for one more purpose only. In the old days, they filled them full of oil, turn the valves on, put oil in the bowl gears, so we keep them empty. And when you walk up to it before you start, it's a good idea. Just walk up, just turn the belt pulley here. You can see that this is your clutch here. You can see that your clutch is disengaged from your flywheel, so be sure it doesn't go anywhere. And once in a while, you can look in here. Here's your gears, and that put a little bit of grease on them once in a while. Not real critical. Just once in a while, a little bit of grease. I think that's it.